The New York Rangers have made a shocking move as it pertains to Brennan Othmann and Noah Laba. We're going to break that down, as well as an update on JT Miller and his health heading into the regular season, and multiple other updates from head coach Mike Sullivan and what the team is planning to do with the roster ahead of the season opener, which is just a week away at this point. We're going to break it all down in this episode of Rangers Digest. But before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 77% of you who watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening with your New York Rangers, go down below, hit that free subscribe button, because this channel is built for blue shirt fandom, and it's the place to be for all your daily New York Rangers content. But Bret, let's get right into it. We got a lot to cover today. We got news coming out. The season's almost here. It's very exciting, and a lot of things that are upsetting Rangers fans, honestly, but we have to start with this. And it's that the Rangers have made some roster moves officially this morning. They've made some cuts, and there's one name in particular, maybe a couple, depending how you look at it, that are, quite frankly, shocking. And the one we have to outline, we're not going to go through everyone, because a lot of, the cuts today do make sense and are, were expected, I guess, like Robrick, obviously, and Carey Terrence, who I want to touch on a little bit too. But the biggest name here, obviously, is Brennan Othmann. He's been sent down early to the AHL to Hartford, which I think is not a good sign, clearly, because he's clearly not going to make the team. He has not made the team out of training camp, and he's been sent down way earlier than a lot of other guys that are younger than him that have maybe made the jump higher than him on the depth chart. As you see here from Vince Mercogliano, the most interesting cut is Brennan Othmann. He's a little surprised that they're doing it now, but the writing has been on the wall, and it has been on the wall, like, for sure. Like, I don't think most people were expecting him to make the team, but this is really early, and guys like Berard, Perreault, and Sherry, who's on a PTO, are now above him on the depth chart, which is crazy. So what's your take on this? It's official. He has not made the team. He is getting older. There's a bunch of guys jumping over him on the depth chart. I think the writing's on the wall that it could be time to maybe move off of this player. But again, injuries happening during the regular season, we'll see. But yet another season, he has not made the team.
Yeah, Darius, another season he has not made the team, and getting cut so early just goes to show you that, he really hasn't made his mark here in training camp, rookie camp, the preseason. He hasn't done enough to even earn the right to continue fighting here, for that left wing spot. You can see all those names on the depth chart, some guys that are younger than him that have jumped over him. And, the writing, like Vince said, is on the wall. And, what we may have to expect here is a situation where maybe Brennan Othmann is not a Ranger. Maybe he's not a Ranger moving forward. I'm not saying they trade him right now, but it's something that they certainly have to look into, because you have guys that were drafted later than him. Noah Laba, 2022. Gabe Perreault, 2023, who are making more of an impact on Mike Sullivan, Chris Drury, and their staff, and fighting for an opening night roster spot. Not only that, but fighting to get into the top 12. We're going to get into that in just a second here, because, Vince talks about how these players, Berard, Perreault, Sherry, they might be fighting for one spot here, particularly on that third line left wing spot. But not only that, I mean, there seems to be a few spots, in my opinion, that don't seem solidified on that third line. I know that the one that sticks out the most is that left wing position. Even the center spot, we all know Mika making the transition to second line right wing opened up that third line center spot. So Parson and Laba, fierce competition over there. But Taylor Radish, we haven't spoken about this enough. I don't firmly believe that he is a shoo-in, that he is penciled in to start on opening night. Gabe Perreault has played that well to make that a question, because even when Perreault and Laba, those two in particular, are not scoring, they're making plays. They're wreaking havoc on a hockey game. You saw Gabe Perreault yesterday set up Noah Laba for that game-winning goal. So Taylor Radish, we speak about Juuso Parssinen, but Taylor Radish, he has to step up as well, because I don't firmly believe that his spot is set in stone.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think that, if you watch some of the last few games as well that Taylor Radish has played in, he's missing tap-ins. Like, I don't know if he's really, solidified into that spot yet. That whole third line, I think, is still up for grabs to a degree, especially the left wing spot. That's what everyone's looking at. And you know what? I think you put it really well there. Gabe Perreault is playing really, really well. And when you look at a guy like Brennan Othmann, there's a lot of guys that are sticking around still and have earned the right to at least fight for that spot. He didn't. He's gone already. He's down in Hartford already, which I think is really, really telling. So that's pretty crazy to me. And again, the writing was on the wall. I wasn't expecting him to make the team, but this is an early cut for me, especially for a guy who has NHL experience. But anyway, Brett Berard, Gabe Perreault, and Noah Laba still fighting for that third line spot. Could be a couple still up for grabs. Connor Sheary's still in the mix too on his PTO. Obviously, that history with Mike Sullivan, so that's going to be very interesting to watch. And then Matthew Robertson, I would imagine, is going down to the AHL at some point, but he is sticking around, which is pretty cool. So at least he's getting that opportunity. But interesting stuff. There's a couple guys playing really well, and we'll get to that in a second. I want your thoughts on this now, which is something that you covered yesterday. Pretty scary in practice yesterday morning. Captain JT Miller, it looked very significant in the moment. If you watch the video, went down with an injury. He missed the rest of practice. He went for evaluation, all of this stuff. They didn't have an update till late last night when it was reported that he is okay. He might actually miss practice at the time we're recording this. We're not sure about that, but it looks like he could miss practice. He could be on the ice, but one thing's for sure, he's just day to day. It doesn't seem to be anything serious, probably just tweak something, and he should be okay to play the regular season. And that's why other teams, if you look around the league, they're starting to shut down their key players in this preseason to make sure they don't get hurt. Look at Alex Barkov in Florida. That is crazy stuff. So hopefully JT Miller is okay. Any thoughts on this? This is a great update because if they were going to miss him for any period of time, especially to start the season, that would have been a major blow, I think, just to start the season to set the tone.
Yeah, a few quick thoughts, Darius. I mean, thank goodness, JT is okay, because what a major blow that would have been for the Blue Shirts trying to get back, to the postseason. I mean, that would have been as bad a start as you could have. You just mentioned Florida losing their captain. The difference is, Florida's won back-to-back Stanley Cups, and they're built to, bounce back, be resilient, and still compete even after losing Barkov. The Rangers situation coming off, the turmoil, the type of season they had last year, losing their captain before even, game one of 82 would have been a complete disaster. In an offseason that was drama-free, in an offseason where we saw a nice acquisition, a shiny new toy, on the blue line in Gavrikov. We saw, some other moves, some good depth pieces as well. That would have been such a major blow, losing the captain on day one. But as you saw right there, Molly Walker had it. He's okay. He was being evaluated, and he was skating around. But actually, I don't know if he was skating around this morning, but it does seem to be that he's okay. And like I said, those non-contact injuries, they always scare me. But good thing, I had my fingers crossed, and he turned out to be okay. And one other thing I want to get into here, Darius, is that you said, a lot of teams are starting to rest their key guys. One thing that was evident yesterday between the Rangers and the Islanders was the Islanders, they had a lot of their key guys playing. You saw Barzell, you saw Horvat, you saw Schaefer, Palat, other guys as well. And the Rangers didn't have many of their top guys going, but I really loved what I saw from Shesty yesterday. Shesterkin has looked great this preseason. I just wanted to mention that and acknowledge that because, he stopped 31 of 33 shots so far. Yesterday, 21 of 22. And, where the Rangers were really heavily outshot, outchanced, Igor, we've seen it over and over again, year after year. He was the best player on the ice. He kept the Rangers in the game. And then when he turned it over to Garand, I like what I saw from Garand as well. Good to see him bounce back. Also, that overtime save against Horvat, that was some pretty stuff. So just wanted to mention that because I really like what I'm seeing from Shesty right now.
Absolutely. And they both look really good. Great point in the game. They were heavily outshot, and obviously it got carried over to overtime where Noah Laba put his stamp on the game. Not just him, but Gabe Perreault as well. This was an incredible overtime winner. He took over the game and won the game. And for my money, he's looked the best. I know there's a lot of guys not playing. Panarin's missed some time. There's been some injuries and certain guys sitting out and stuff like that. And even the top guys that, if you're making the team, you're not going to give 100%, right? There's guys that are fighting for their livelihood here. But for my money, he's looked the best. He's been the best New York Ranger in the preseason. And Mike Sullivan went on about, the impression that he's made in training camp. And he said, when they were both coming out of college, highly regarded players that are raising eyebrows and having an impact, Step was the same way. And that is Derek Stefan back in the day when he made the Rangers. out of college as well. So he's making an impression on the coach. The real question is, does he make the team? Because if he's going to make the team, it's going to be as the third line center, right? Like that's what we would assume. And that would push Parssinen out. Maybe it would have to go through waivers. Maybe you lose him for nothing. That's kind of the politics that are going on right now. So you can see that he's making an impression, and just by the eye test, he looks great. He should, in theory, if all things were equal, make this team as the third line center. I think he would make an impact. He's hungry, he's young, all of these things. What do you make of this before we wrap up here? Because, you know, if all things were equal, he should be on the team, but I'm just not so sure he's going to make it, or it's going to be in a different role than people realize.
Yeah, Darius, you hit it on the head. If all things are equal, you know, Noah Laba is starting in the top 12, no doubt about it. And not only that, but if all things are equal, we just spoke about Taylor Radish. You know, he's a guy on a 2-year contract as well, like Juuso Parssinen. And I've said it on the channel that, you know, Chris Drury, oddly enough, he prioritized Parssinen this offseason. You know, that was his first signing of the summer. So you mentioned the politics. There are some things in play here that we have to keep in mind. And, you know, like we keep saying, if all things are equal, I truly do believe that Gabe Perreault starts over Taylor Radish, Noah Laba starts over Juuso Parssinen. And, you know, there's a real chance we see, you know, I'm hoping we see Brett Berard at left wing. I respect Connor Sheary. I like what he brings to the table. I respect the pedigree. You know, Brzezinski as well. I love the on and off the ice leadership, but I look at Sheary and Brzezinski as more of 13th and 14th forwards, especially on a team that is looking to compete and make the postseason. Players like that are still, you know, invaluable and crucial to making a run here. But I look at Brett Berard as a true top 12 player, an energizer bunny. We saw it even battling through that injury. So, you know, if you had a line of Brett Berard, Noah Laba, Gabe Perreault, I believe that's what it would be if all things are equal. Obviously, they're not. But that would be really fascinating to watch, you know, sort of like a kid line 2.0. But not only that, I mean, Berard has shown he could produce at the NHL level. We've seen Laba and Perreault, that connection. So, nevertheless, Darius, whatever happens here, you could expect all these names to eventually contribute to the Rangers this season, because we know, you know, you just saw JT get hurt. You saw Panarin dealing with the lower body injury. Sam Carrick is dealing with a little tweak. So we all understand how vicious of a sport hockey is. So eventually all these names that are being considered will have to contribute. Not only that, if the Rangers expect to go deep here into the postseason, they will certainly need all of these guys to contribute to the team this season.
Yeah, definitely. All hands on deck by the end of the season. We're going to be seeing a lot of these guys throughout the season, but I think it's interesting in terms of who makes the team. And they definitely prioritize Chris Drury. This is, you know, some veteran guys this offseason and going out and signing them, which I think was a good move. But to me, Connor Sheary, especially being on a PTO, does he do a lot more than what Brett Berard could bring to a lineup? And then Brett Berard is actually a young core piece of this team moving forward that you probably don't want to stunt his development, right? So pretty interesting stuff there. We'll see where the cards fall. There's still 2 preseason games left. They're going to figure some stuff out. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But one thing's for sure, all things equal, a lot of these young guys, they've made a great first impression. And I think that, you know, they do deserve a spot on this team. But we will see what happens, but I don't think it's, even if he gets sent down, I don't think it's the last time we've seen Noah Laba this season. Let us know how you feel about everything in the comments below. We want to hear what you have to say. The conversation always continues in the comments below or on X. You can find us on X. The link is in the description. Things are heating up right before the regular season comes around next season. We'll keep you updated the whole way throughout the regular season. Let us know how you feel in the comments, and if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.